The United States of America does not surrender to a bunch of black robe, crazed clerics that want to see us destroyed. When we sit down and we sign an agreement with a country like Iran so that they can become an economic power, so that in 5 to 8 years, when the UN arms embargo is taken away, they can become a military power. And then in 10 to 15 years, they will become a nuclear power. But yet we stand up and say we're going to cut our United States Army by 40,000. We have the smallest Marine Corps since World War I, the smallest Navy since 1917, the smallest and the oldest Air Force since we created the modern Air Force. What message does it say to radical Islamic terrorists when we have people that go and kill our unarmed men and women at recruiting stations, at reserve component stations here in the United States of America, and we can't figure out if the kid was depressed, if the kid was on drugs? Well, hell no, he was a dadgum terrorist. That's what he was. What type of commander-in-chief do you have when Americans have lost their lives on our soil, and it's more important to come up here and take in a play than go to Chattanooga, Tennessee, and lower the flag half-mast over the White House? Alexander the Great had a fantastic quote, and he said, "I would not fear an army of lions if they were led by sheep, but I would fear an army of sheep if they were to be led by a lion." This great nation is a nation of lions that is currently being led by the greatest of sheep that we have ever seen in our 239 years of existence. How dare Barack Obama, how dare John Kerry, how dare Valerie Jarrett, or any of these other charlatans that occupy Washington, D.C., surrender this great constitutional republic? You being here sends a message that the United States of America, I don't care who is occupying the White House, we're not surrendering our liberty, our freedom, our way of life. That the enemies of America and the enemies of Israel are crushed and brought to their knees.
It's time to play the game. Time to play the game.
Broadcasting live from St. Paul, Minnesota, Hudson, Wisconsin, and around the world, it's EBN Special Report with your host, Rocci, Stucci.
It's all about the game, and how you play it. It's all about control, and if you can take it, it's all about your debt. And if you can play it, it's all about pain. And who's gonna make it? I am the game, you don't wanna play me. I am control, no way you can shake me. I am heavy debt, no way you can pay me. I am the pain, and I know you can't take me. Look over your shoulder, ready to run, like a Cleveland bench from a smoking gun. I am the game, and I make the rules. So move on out here and die like a fool. Try to figure out.
Oh yes, folks, here we are yet again for another episode of EBN Special Report with me, Rocci Stucci, and I just, for some reason, I'm talking with a lot of energy in my voice because I just got done listening to that opener with Alan West and his speech that he did and his little message that he had towards President Obama, and for some reason, I just feel like I gotta have a lot of energy in my voice right now, and I really have no reason to. Oh, here we go, folks. Yet another week, a crazy week. So many things are happening. I am so grateful for each and every one of you that have been downloading the episodes, that have been listening live every Sunday night here at 8 o'clock. You can go to ebntalkradio.com and listen to the shows every Sunday night at 8 p.m. Central Standard Time. Or you can also listen through our network site, which is ipbn-fm.com. And, of course, my sponsors, gotta say hello and a thank you to my sponsors, EZFlights.com, the letter E, the letter Z-flights.com, and Isogenics. You can go to ebntalkradio.com, click on the links if you're looking for some energy to lose some weight, or if you want to travel somewhere safe. Go to the website, click the links. And I'm grateful for the sponsors, for your help, for your continued effort. And I will be announcing, listen here, folks, 2 more sponsors that have contacted me this week that want to help support what I'm doing here at EBN Special Report. I don't know what to say about that. I'm grateful that people believe in this. People believe what I'm doing. Again, I say this all the time. I scratch my head. And I got to ask you guys something. Serious question now. I say this all the time. I seem to say this every week. Folks, I got to ask you, send me an email at ebntalkradio@gmail.com and give me your answer. But seriously, do you guys not feel that we live in a constant sales pitch? That everything around us is nothing but a way to manipulate our minds to believe something. We are constantly being sold something and we don't even realize it. We don't even realize it. I mean, when we're on Facebook, when we're on Twitter, when we sit down in our living rooms to watch TV, when we watch commercials, when we watch TV programs, when we walk out our door, when we see the signs, when we see advertisement, everything is a sales pitch. Everything is trying to lure us to do something or to believe something. And the hardest part is knowing what to believe is real and what's not. That's the hardest part. It depends what network you watch. It depends what article you read. It depends what website you go to. It depends what you watch on YouTube. Because it all comes down to perspective of that individual who's sharing that information and how they choose to absorb that information. I said this before. You go to a play. There's 5,000 people there. 5,000 people watch the play and 5,000 people walk out with a different interpretation of what they just saw. Do you ever wonder what is the truth anymore? What do we believe anymore? There's so many people, they cannot accept the fact that there are criminals running our country. There's so many people that cannot accept the fact that there are criminals running to be president of this country. How is that so hard to digest? How is it so hard to actually scratch a little bit beyond the surface to see the truth? I got to tell you guys something. I have a guest that is coming on my show tonight. His name is Father John Claypool. He was with the NSA, and not just for a couple years. He was not with the NSA for a couple years. He was with the NSA from 1975 to 1994, and he knows a thing or two. He's not an Alex Jones. He's not some guy who just chooses what kind of information to absorb and then try to come up with his version of things. This is a guy who has seen it. He has lived it. He knows information on the Clinton family firsthand. And I talked to him the other day, and I'm like, I would really like to know some information on Hillary Clinton. But we started talking about a couple other things, and it got greater than that. It got to Bill Clinton and Hillary Clinton, and back during Bill Clinton's presidency. And then we started talking about Vince Foster. And a lot of you guys know who Vince Foster is. Some people don't. Vince Foster used to be the family attorney who handled the Clintons' estates. And when Bill Clinton became president of the United States, Vince went with the Clinton family and became part of that big ring. And mysteriously, he committed suicide, which was a hoax, because there's real people, real officials, real people within our government, NSA officials, that know the truth. And they know that Hillary Clinton was behind this. So he's going to be coming on here, folks, in just a little bit. And he's going to tell us a little bit about this Vince Foster, what he believes really happened. And we're going to talk about a couple other things. We're going to throw a little Benghazi in there. And just so you know, folks, you need to stand by, because within a week or two, I'm going to be interviewing right here on EBN Special Report a gentleman who was actually at the gunfight at Benghazi. And he is going to share his account with what happened that night within that 8 hours. 2 waves of firefights. He is going to share his story with us, the EBN crew, the supporters, the listeners. He's going to share his story on his experience and how he survived that night in Benghazi. But until then, there's been great news this week, folks, and I'm sure everybody's heard about it. President Obama finally got pushed enough to lower the flags half-mast for the 4 Marines and Navy officer who lost their life to a terrorist. Now, a lot of people, of course, no, he's not a terrorist. He was depressed. He had emotional problems. He needed help. No, he was a terrorist. He was a terrorist, and he went out of his way. He knew what he was doing, and he attacked U.S. military members at U.S. military centers, recruiting centers. He was a terrorist. If he just wanted to kill somebody, he didn't need to go out of his way to go somewhere to shoot specific individuals. And it's so hard because you don't ever hear President Obama call it a terrorist attack. Meanwhile, he's in Africa right now. He's home. Welcome home, President Obama. Do you guys see that crap? All these welcome home signs. And if you guys look at all the things dedicated to President Obama in Africa, it's kind of scary. You often wonder, what is Obama going to do when his presidency is over? Is he going to move back to Africa? Is he going to move home? People are naming their kids after him. You know, when we see everything that's happening right now with Africa, with the Middle East, with Obama's pro-Muslim attitude, anti-Christian attitude, what exactly is happening here with all of his Muslim ties and all the support that he gives to Muslims? And don't quote me wrong here, folks. Don't listen to my words and twist them, because I'm not saying that Muslim people are bad. But what I'm saying is that there is a great divide here. There's a great divide on those who are Muslim and those who are Christian. And the ones that stand front and center are the radicals. The radicals, the ones who want Christians dead, the ones who will cut your heads off, the ones who will go grab your 8-year-old child and rip their head right off their shoulders in front of you and in front of a camera so they can share it with the world. Those are the ones that stand front and center. Does any of this bother anybody? Does any of this bother anybody, how Obama is going back home to visit his family? Does this not bother anybody, the millions and millions of dollars that he spends in his personal travel on his vacations that we pay for? Does that not bother anybody? I mean, if you're going to go on vacation, I got a great job, but they don't pay for my travel. They don't pay for me to go on vacation. I don't understand why we have to pay for him and Michelle and their millions of dollars that they spend going on vacations. It just don't make sense. But right now, my focal point is not President Obama. My focal point is not how President Obama right now is destroying this country. My point is not how President Obama is allowing Al Sharpton into the White House over 100 times. That's not going to be my focal point tonight. And that just drives me nuts. You want to talk about racism? Al Sharpton, what makes him so special that he gets over 100 visits to the White House? What are they talking about behind closed doors? We have such a great divide in this country, but yet we don't have that lead authority. We don't have that president coming front and center and saying this needs to stop. No, he hides. He crawls and he slithers. He's almost like he's kind of giggling. He's happy that this country is destroying itself. He's happy that there's a big, great divide within its people. He's happy that we are knocked to our knees because that makes us vulnerable. We're looking to be rescued, and he will break this country. He will break it so hard that we will accept anything to put us back on the right path, and that anything will be exactly what he wants. And I'm not losing my mind. I'm not a radical. I'm not an extremist. I'm rational within my thoughts. I was talking to a great friend before this show, completely opposite beliefs as me. He loves Hillary. Yay, Hillary. Yay. He loves her. He thinks she's the next best thing. He thinks that she deserves to be president. But you bring up one corrupt act of Hillary Clinton, he'll want to kneecap you. Hillary Clinton right now should be a concern to everybody who lives in this country. Barack Obama should be a concern to anybody who lives in this country. But yet we see somebody like Donald Trump get up and speak the truth and we crucify him. What have we become? What have we become, ladies and gentlemen? We sit here and argue with people all day long, but we don't do nothing to fix it. Or we're too afraid. There's been people that have told me to be careful what I say. Be careful, Rocky. You never know who's listening. Well, you obviously don't know where I come from. I don't appreciate people telling me to be careful what I say, because that is what's happened to this country. As we start playing the tap dance crap. be careful what we say. Keep your mouth shut. Just let things happen the way they're happening. So I will sit back and watch this country rot from the inside out and know that there could have been something that could have been done, but yet I was too busy being careful what I say. I was too busy allowing my mind to be too weak that I believed every damn thing that's on the media, that I believed everything that people tried downloading into my thoughts. I'm sorry, I wasn't raised to be that way. I wasn't raised to be a follower. I wasn't raised to be a sheep. Nor will I be one. So while everybody wants to go out there and play the political game, while everybody wants to go out there and try to argue their side and tell everybody how wonderful Obama is, how much he's done for this country, I feel sorry for you that you are so blind that you believe every statistic that they put on a screen, that you believe every article that you read. Put a little effort in to who represents you. That will make you afraid. It makes me afraid. It makes me worried about what's going to happen in my future, my children's future, and their children's future. Do we not think about this, or do we just think about what serves us right now? Oh, it's okay. I got money in the bank. I got a job. I got a cabin. I got a vehicle. Life's good. Well, sooner or later, folks, you may not have that. Look a little bit deeper into our employment system. Look a little bit deeper into our tax system. Look a little bit deeper into our stock system. Oh, stocks have never been higher than they have been now. Look at how companies manipulate their stock to make it look better than it is. Don't be fooled by these statistics of unemployment, because I can guarantee you within the next 5-10 years, 30 to 40% of the jobs we have in this country are gone. We got people going to college that can't even afford to live after they graduate because they can't find a job. But, great idea. Let's do this. Check this out. Let's get people at McDonald's who put salt on French fries $15 an hour. Now listen to me close. I am all in support of a fair wage income. Most of my life, I have been broke. But how, possibly, could we allow somebody to make $15 an hour to put salt on French fries? There's people in the manufacturing business that are well-educated, well-skilled, that are making $14, $15 an hour. Where are we giving these people the incentive to make something in their life? We are teaching people to be lazy. We are teaching people that entitlement is the only way to go. Don't worry. You don't need to be somebody in this life. You don't need to work. We'll take care of you. We'll take care of you. Oh, hey, go to McDonald's. Put a little salt on fries. We'll give you $15 an hour. Don't worry about advancing who you are. Don't worry about educating yourself. Don't worry about trying to push yourself in life to be the best. No, be lazy. We'll take care of you. This is Obama's way. This is Obama's country, to create a dependent society, because the more we depend on our government, the more they have control over us. And how damn blind are we to allow this crap to happen? Everybody should be ashamed of ourselves. We all should be embarrassed of what we allowed to happen in this country. If you're not embarrassed, you better look in the mirror. Because look at what's happening in this country. This will be a dictatorship sooner than later. If you do not feel that your rights are under attack as we speak, you, my friend, are blind. I'm going to give you a perfect example. And understand, folks, I'm not going to say things to try to appease people's feelings. I'm not going to say things to tap dance around your emotions. That's not how I raised. That's not how I raised my children. The people that come on to listen to this show are looking for people to be a voice for who they are, for what's happening in this country. And I have no problem speaking the way I choose to believe. There's so many people out there right now that are screaming at the top of their lungs, representing nothing that's destroying our country. They're representing things that are not benefiting us. They're promoting things like hatred. They're digging dead generals up from the ground. They're trying to scrape little faces off walls because it's a bad part of our history. Well, look at the history we're making now. Look at what we're doing now. And we're worried about a guy's face on a rock. We're going to a grave site where somebody should be respected for being in the ground as a human, and we're digging their bodies up because he represented the South, because he was racist. And we are allowing this to continue. Are we that blind? Are we that dumb? Listen to this commercial that I heard today. You want to talk about creating a lazy society that doesn't want to do a damn thing? Listen to this. Stand by.
Do you want to eliminate your cell phone bill forever? At Q-Link Wireless, we'll give you a free cell phone plus 250 free minutes every month with no monthly bills, no credit check, and no contract. That's right. Free nationwide calling and texting with no bills ever. Signing up for this free service is fast and easy. You may be eligible for this free program if you receive government benefits like food stamps or Medicaid. You may even qualify based on low income.
There it is, folks. Don't worry about it. You don't need to go out and try to find a job. You don't need to go out there and try to educate yourself. You don't need to try to advance who you are at the place you already work. Don't worry about it, because if you don't work, we'll take care of you. And the more we take care of you, the more you will depend on us. What are we becoming as a society? We do nothing anymore, but everybody wants everything. And listen to this. The more we depend on a government, the more we will believe the crap that is being fed to us. The crap that is being fed to us. How and when and where have we become so broken? How in the world have our minds become so weak? You guys... If you guys just understood how powerful of a creature we are as a human, how powerful our thoughts are in our minds and our belief system and our determination, we're forgetting that. We're forgetting that drive that we had, that determination that we came from. Look at what built this country. Hard work, loyalty, dedication, love for family, love for country. And now everybody hates everybody. Now everybody's depressed. Everybody wants attention because, oh, my knee hurts. Oh, I got a sore back. Oh, I need to go to the doctor. Please say prayers for me. I want to do a prayer chain. Please, people, fall into my self-pity pool. Please be one of my self-pity pool friends. I just get disgusted with what I'm seeing. I don't know what to say anymore. Everything is self-pity crap. Everything is my back hurts, or my job sucks, or I hate my vehicle. Do you not realize that you have control of everything around you? Do you not realize that you have control of what you do, where you work, your pain, or you want to be part of the Farmageddon and you want to just make sure you got about 30 pills of medications on top of your refrigerator and just pop pills all day because you want to come up with every excuse to not do something? Why do I say that, folks? Because I've been there. I was one of the biggest pill poppers you could ever meet in your life, and I fed off of people's pity. I fed off their self-pity. I ripped people's emotions from their souls. So don't tell me I don't know what I'm talking about, because I've been there. So you need to pull yourself out of this rut. Don't fall into people's self-pity. Look for human vampires. Don't let them take your energy. Choose to what you react to and choose what you don't. Because before you know it, it's going to be too late. It's going to be too late. So I'm going to take a quick commercial break. And right after we come back from this break and this little skip, because I'm going to be doing some stuff on Benghazi, so I'm going to do a little Benghazi clip. And as soon as we get back, I am going to have Father John Claypool, retired NSA, and we're going to be talking some Hillary Clinton, Bill Clinton stuff. What some people call conspiracy, what to him is a reality. So, folks, you are listening to EBN Special Report. This is Rocci Stucci. Stick around. We will be right back.
in the months before his death, Ambassador Stevens talked about being worried about what he called the never-ending security threats in Benghazi, specifically mentioned the rise in Islamic extremism, the growing al-Qaeda presence in Libya, and said he was on an al-Qaeda hit list.
September 11, 2012. An American ambassador is brutally murdered. 3 other Americans killed. An organized assault with automatic weapons and rocket-propelled grenades. A security request submitted 4 months earlier, denied, even after 2 bombings preceding the anniversary of 9/11. And fears of being killed expressed by Ambassador Stevens himself. Yet President Obama's officials insisted they had no actionable intelligence requiring increased security. Then, the attack. And Obama and his administration wouldn't call it terrorism for 14 days. But the evidence is piling up on Barack Obama. Within hours of the attacks, Obama officials received numerous intelligence reports indicating the attacks were organized and al-Qaeda was involved. Communications intercepted between al-Qaeda and Libyan militants, bragging about the attack. Every sign pointed to terrorism. But for 2 long weeks, Obama and his team blamed a video. Why? For political reasons. It was in Obama's interest to not portray the attack as terrorism on the anniversary of 9/11. The intelligence was there. Clear signs of terrorism. But campaign politics came first. The evidence is mounting as more questions arise. What did this president know? And when did he know it?
Here's the story of a group named Acorn, as dishonest and corrupt as they can be. But Acorn helped Obama get elected, so they'll get off scot-free. It's a story of Acorn law breaking, stealing votes and crushing all their foes, helping deadbeats get your tax dollars, arranging loans for hoes. But Acorn will still be helping fix the census, getting prostitutes free cash and a free lunch, and Obama's in their hip pocket. That is how Acorn became the Shady Bunch, the Shady Bunch, the Shady Bunch. That's the way Acorn became the Shady Bunch.
All right, folks, welcome back to EBN Special Report. Of course, this is me, Rocci Stucci. Now, folks, as you know, this episode, and I've also discussed this on some past shows, is the Clinton family and the awareness of the Clinton family. And I think it's so important that, especially when somebody's running for president, that we actually know their true colors, who they are, where they come from. And there's a lot of things that are within the media, within YouTube. We can research and get just tons of articles, not just regarding emails, but even back to Benghazi, but even farther back than Benghazi. And I'm not just specifically referring to Hillary here. I'm also referring to Mr. Bill Clinton. And folks, I'll tell you something. It scares me sometimes. I have some great conversations with some wonderful friends. And these people know things. And when I find out about some of the activities that not just the Clintons, but other people that represent the United States and what they do and the reason they're not in prison, I shake my head. I don't get it. I don't understand. But yet so many people, it's like they almost choose not to believe it to be real. They're so faithful with the fact that they represent this country. There's no way that they would do any type of criminal activity. And this is, I think that's what concerns me the most. So what I wanted to do tonight for you folks is I wanted to bring somebody in that actually knows facts. This is somebody who has been there. He has lived it. He is a dear friend of mine, and I'll tell you a little bit about him. His name is Father John Claypool. And I will say this, Father John has been around the block. And I say that in a respectful way, of course. He actually was a contractor with the NSA. Yes, you heard me correctly. The NSA from 1975 to 1974. Or, I'm sorry, 1994. So he may know just a couple more things than we know from what we choose to believe while we watch Fox and CNN and NBC and all those other news broadcasts that choose to air and share stories on what they choose to believe in. So I want to welcome Father John Claypool to the show. Welcome, brother. Thank you so much for coming on.
Hi, Rocky. Thank you for having me on.
All right. So we got a lot to talk about, brother. We have talked privately. We have gone over some things here regarding the Clinton family. And there's one story that I wanted to touch base on because this kind of goes back to a time where a lot of people already forgot even happened. We're so forward now in time where we're covered with our thoughts with Benghazi. Now we're looking at the email scandal with Hillary Clinton and all these emails that magically just disappeared or she cleaned out of her server. But there was a situation that happened back in the day with a gentleman that was a family friend of the Clintons by the name of Vince Foster. Can you tell us a little bit about Vince Foster, who he was, his affiliation with the Clinton family, and we'll just take it from there.
Vince Foster was an attorney, a very good attorney, actually. From what I heard from friends, a very moral guy, too, a very straightforward guy. Vince Foster worked for the Clintons way back when the Clintons had their real estate firm, their real estate holdings in Arkansas. And Vince Foster took care of everything for them personally and for their business. And again, he was a very good attorney. When Clinton became president of the United States, they brought Vince Foster in as part of his own, as Bill's cabinet. And, he ended up working for the Clintons personally, taking care of anything personally that they had legal. And also, he moved into, over a very short period of time, within 2 years of taking over and controlling everything legal going on within the White House and whatever Bill and Hillary were doing or the plans that they had made. Now, Vince Foster was very close with Hillary Clinton and actually, technically worked for Hillary, not for Bill. And even though he and Bill had a relationship, it was Vince and Hillary that were really very close, and they worked closely together.
Now, how long did he work with Hillary and when they're in the White House before they actually found him dead?
It was during the end of the first term, I believe, is when they found Vince Foster they said the news reports were that he committed suicide.
Okay, so let's talk about that moment. So they found him. Where did they find him? And, I heard something today, as a matter of fact, that even officers that were new on the job, they've never have ever had a case where they found somebody who, quote unquote, committed suicide. They actually determined the cause of death before a coroner even showed up, before they even left the crime scene. So what happened that day? How did it happen? And then we'll just take this conversation from there.
You have two different things that happened. First, let me tell you what the news reports were. Okay. Cops find this guy inside of a car. He had a gunshot wound to the head. He was dead. And they assumed it was suicide. They found that it was in a park, not far from the White House. The problem was there was no blood anywhere. There was no, they found a 45 with him, a 1911 45, which is a typical 45 like used in World War II. They still have them today.
Sure.
It holds about 8 rounds. He evidently had fired one of those, killing himself. So the problem was there was no blood, no brains. There was on the ground outside. It had showed that there was a body that had been laying on the ground. Even the police saw that right away, but there was still no blood on the ground. He was actually dragged from a certain point.
So where did they say he shot himself? Did he shoot himself in the mouth, underneath the chin?
Yeah, it was in the mouth. And through the back of the head. So that's not what happened.
I was going to say, if somebody uses a 45, and whether it be underneath their chin, in their mouth, they would probably blow off a good portion of the top or the back of their head from this shot. Is that correct?
Yeah, almost all of it. Actually, the .45 is a very powerful gun. When I don't mean to be horrible, sounding on the air, but the truth is, when you put a .45 in your mouth, you pull the trigger. Normally, it'll break out your two front teeth when the slide recoils. The bullet goes through the head completely, all the way through, and because of the type of bullet that it is, because the bullet's so big. And it travels at about 800 feet per second. It takes off a good portion of the skull, and it's been even known to go through a wall after somebody does shoot somebody like that. So most time it'll stop after it comes out of the head.
So did they say that he was in the vehicle when he quote unquote committed suicide?
That was the final word on it. What the word was, it was printed to everybody, was that he was found in his car dead and he'd committed suicide. And to the people that were reporting the story, said that it was extremely obvious that it couldn't have been anything else. Yet, like I said, the police at the scene couldn't find blood or brains anywhere. That a body had been dragged not far from the car. That it also looked like obvious to the naked eye was carpet fibers on the body. Evidently, somebody rolled him up in a piece of carpet or a rug, probably a rug. So that's actually what the stories claim. That's how they came. And his body was cremated, so nobody really got to do an autopsy on it.
Well, of course, that's I'm not surprised to hear that. So what do you think actually happened?
Well, what actually happened was Vince Foster used to stay at the White House for long periods of time. He used to stay with Hillary and Bill until late in the night, sometimes spending the night there. He was actually shot on the back lawn. He was a thing where they shot him twice in the back of the head with a .25 caliber pistol. It was a subsonic round, which means there was probably a silencer used. Then the body was removed from the White House completely, and it was found, in the car.
So a .25 caliber that's a very small round.
It's a very small round. It's slightly bigger than a .22 in diameter. It's about twice the size, but it's a little bit bigger than a .22. It's a very slow round. It's not fast. It's got a very small cartridge, and it doesn't hold much powder. So, and it used to be used for assassinations or what we call hits,
Right.
And because he was shot twice, it was what's called a double tap, which makes one shot, knocks him down, then the second shot makes sure he's dead.
So how did people, now you had some extremely reliable resources regarding this, so how was their belief that this happened at the White House without a lot of people witnessing what happened?
Well, it was very late at night. It was in the early morning hours.
Okay.
And I'm not sure how Vince Foster got out on the back lawn or anything like that, but, he was out on the back lawn. That's where he was shot. I heard this the very next day after it had happened.
So now, and the reason I asked you about the .25 caliber pistol, because when the when the media claims that he used a .45 and the damage that the .45 would have with the head and, like you mentioned, the teeth, would a .25 caliber even be able to enter one part of the skull and exit another part?
No, it's not. That's what it's supposed to do. It's not supposed to do that. It's not supposed to be messy. The head bleeds a lot anyway. Anybody that's cut their scalp or something knows the head bleeds a lot. But with a small caliber gun like that, it enters the skull, goes into the brain. It opens up or explodes inside of the brain, but it does not leave. It doesn't go through the skull. It doesn't do that.
So why exactly do you think that the Clinton family is behind this, and what was the motive?
Well, from what I heard, from what I was told, was Hillary was the one that had ordered this hit. I don't know who she used to do this, but Vince Foster had a lot of information after working at the White House for many years. He knew a lot of dark secrets that the Clintons had. He knew where all the bodies were buried, so to speak. And I'm not sure of what happened after that, but I knew Vince Foster, because he was a straight-laced guy, was getting tired of what was going on with Bill and Hillary. So I believe that at some point Hillary considered him an extreme threat and had him removed. The hit was so obvious, Rocky, that at the scene of where the car was, there was no evidence. They couldn't even find the bullet. It was amazing. So how can you fire a .45 and not find the bullet? Right. They do they don't check them. The DOJ doesn't get involved. The FBI doesn't get involved. Nobody investigates anything. Why? And all of a sudden, Bill and Hillary are off the hook because Vince Foster kills himself, leaving a family, by the way. And this horrible, this is what their dad did at the end of his life. He killed himself.
What makes the Clinton family so powerful, or what makes them think they are so powerful? Because they seem to, all these years, get away with a lot of very bad things.
I think a lot of it has to do with the fact that Bill and Hillary are liked by a lot of people in a lot of very high circles, because they've done so many favors for so many people. And, today it's been a long time, Rocky, since that happened. I can't remember. Back then I used to know the people that Bill used to hang around with and Hillary used to hang around with. But today I can't remember names of that stuff. But they hung around with some very powerful people, very strong people that needed the influence of the president working on their behalf. And that's exactly what they got. And if you remember, Hillary was very proactive. She was not a first lady per se. She did a lot of stuff. She tried to have a number of things changed in the United States. Some of them didn't work out. Others did. But her and Bill worked as a team. And I think that had a lot to do with why they remain untouched till this day. I think Bill has been silenced a little bit because he's an older gentleman now, and he talks an awful lot. and they pulled him. I don't know if you've known that, but he's not around anymore, walking around talking to people the way he was. He's not on his tour giving speeches or anything, and he's been very quiet. And I think he'll be quiet until the election at least comes up.
I got to say, there's been a couple people that told me that the Clintons are kind of like a Dr. Jekyll, Mr. Hyde. So what we see in public is one thing, but what actually happens behind the doors is a whole completely different world. What are they like when they're in front of the cameras, and what are they like when they were not in front of the cameras?
Yeah, Bill's a really nice guy. He's friendly both times. He's friendly in front of the camera. He's friendly behind the camera. He's a nice guy. If he meets you, he'll treat you with respect. He'll talk to you for a few minutes. He's a good person. Hillary is very mean and very brash when she's not on camera. As I've heard, as she's gotten older, she's gotten tougher to be around. She's quite a taskmaster for those that work for her, but they're paid very highly. But they often have a great attrition rate because the people don't want to work for her after a period of time, so they leave. She's not a very nice person. Both of them, I think, are amoral. I think both of them are criminals, first of all, and I do think they should be prosecuted, but I don't know if we'll ever be able to get the DOJ or the FBI to do such a thing, only because if you start a ball rolling in that direction, it's going to continue to roll. And I think what happens is each succession of presidents that comes in is afraid the same thing will happen to them that would happen to Bill and Hillary. And I think this is the only reason that that Bill and Hillary have stayed out of jail. I mean, this thing with the emails that Hillary has done, the most recent thing, is atrocious. If it was you or I, Rocky, we would have lost our job, and the local police department where the company was would be looking into what we were doing.
Right.
What had happened?
There's actually some articles that just came out within the last few days stating that some of those emails that did come forward would be a threat under national security that she used on her private server. So just out of she mentioned that she handed over 35,000 emails to date so far. That figure may be wrong, but now we're talking about 35,000 emails that she used on a private server for government and national business. I mean, how can she get away with this?
Well, she gets away with it very easily because the people above her, the Obama administration, everybody protects her. This is a terrible thing. Look, you, I, and the public know. I mean, there is no way if a person that doesn't even watch the news, that doesn't know anything about Hillary, if they sat down for 15 minutes and read about this story, an honest story about what Hillary had done, they would convict her in a split second. How can you possibly have a personal server, Rocky, and not talk about national security issues? How can you you can't do that. It's not possible. You have to talk about something on there that's going to be in the interest of justice, of a violation of DOD, the Q clearances, all the nuclear stuff. I mean, she had to do things that were talking about that. There is no way that she only used a personal server and didn't talk about those things. Now, they've evidently sifted through their own emails and taken out a lot of the bad stuff, leave some marginal stuff in there so it doesn't look like she's lying, because if all she gave us was stuff where it was just talking about family or about Bill or about friends of hers, and then we would really be suspicious. But if she throws in a few of these security things, it looks like she's violated. Like, where are all the emails about Benghazi? Where's all that stuff? I mean, she let that place burn to the ground. They lied when it first came out, the Benghazi thing, which is horrible. This guy was tortured, Rocky, right. Tortured. He was drugged through the streets and tortured.
Why did they not act? Because I've heard from reliable sources that there could have been help there within a 3 to 4 hour period. There could have been help there before the second attack in Benghazi. What was happening within our own system, within our own government, that they would not help the ambassador out of that situation? Yeah,
actually, from the information I've gotten from friends of mine, they could have had people there within 30 minutes, less than 30 minutes, and they wouldn't allow them to leave. They were actually told to stand down.
So what was really happening? If you know, I don't know if you know, we didn't cover none of this during our pre-interview, but what do you think was really going on in Benghazi?
I think, again, the ambassador had information that Hillary didn't want getting out. I don't think she orchestrated this, but I think she... from what I understood, from what I was told, they had previous knowledge that there was going to be an attack. They were going to attack our embassy in Benghazi. The ambassador asked for extra men. Yep. They weren't allowed to come in. So he had a very limited security detail that some of them died. The other ones aren't talking.
So here we are. We're talking about just two scenarios now. We're talking about Benghazi, and again, whose name comes to surface? Hillary Clinton. Now we're talking about that situation that happened with Vince Foster, who was a close friend of Hillary's, who was a personal attorney for the Clinton family. I mean, these are two major crimes that we are talking about, not just against an individual, but against her own government and against the people she represents. This is where I scratch my head, brother, is I think the part that bothers me is that how do people not see this? Or how do they choose not to look at it like this? And now she's running for president.
Yeah, she's running for president. Again, a lot of this has to do, Rocci, with the fact that they want her to run. The Democratic Party wants her to run. They're going to back her 100%. Now, if they're backing her, then liberal media backs her. And as we talked before, liberal media is ABC, NBC, CBS, and CNN. Not to mention, the radio programs that are out there that are all liberal radio programs that are backing up. These people are backing up Hillary. Now, they are not only, and we talked about this before very, quickly, they are not only backing up Hillary, saying she's a great woman, we want her to be president, but they're holding information down that could put Hillary in prison, or at the very least, stop the election as far as she's concerned. And they won't do it. And I think that's a crime. Anytime ABC, CBS, or NBC or CNN gets information in that is important to the public of the United States, they have to release that information. It doesn't matter if it's against Hillary or for Hillary. Their job is to report the news. By suppressing the news, they are committing a crime, I believe. Now, I know it's not a crime right now, but I do believe they are committing a crime by doing something like that.
So let me ask you, this will be the final question. If Hillary does become president of the United States, what's going to happen to our country?
Well, I don't even like thinking about that. I feel as though it's true, Rocci. It's a very frightening thought. I mean, I'll be honest with you. I've even talked to my wife about moving out of the country if Hillary becomes president, because look, these people, Obama lives in a plastic bubble. He's in the ivory tower. He doesn't have any idea what's going on for the normal man in the United States. He has not enacted anything except to protect Muslims during his 8-year tenure in office. Right. He's a very selfish man. Okay, we all know that now.
Right.
And he's lost a lot of his Democratic supporters. They won't talk to him anymore. Now we've got Hillary coming into office. These people are really selfish. What's left? They care about themselves, what they can get, how much money they can get, how powerful they can become by being, the president of the United States again, and then retiring in a lap of luxury where they really don't have to work anymore. Now, these are people that don't care anything about us. I mean, nothing. So this economic bubble that we've got going right now, where our economy is stagnant, we don't have jobs. Obama keeps saying, we got 217,000 jobs this month. Really? We have 320 million people in the country. Right. 217,000. Why would you even report that? It's like a joke.
Right.
Right?
Right.
I mean, I don't understand it. But, we talk about that. We've got our economic problems in this country. We've got no manufacturing here anymore. All we have to do is look at Detroit to see that.
Right.
And we've got cities. If you drive across this country, you'll see cities that are empty. They've barely got any people in them. The businesses are closed down. We even have that here. We live in Southern California, up in the mountains. It's a tourist area, but our city, half of the buildings in the center are center of the city are all empty. We can't get people in them because nobody can afford to buy anything. So we've got this problem. Yet we've got a stock market that's on the verge of breaking 18,000. Gold's at its lowest it has been in a long time, which shows me the dollar's being propped up. And this is very dangerous for our economy. When is this going to happen? I don't know, Rocci, but I can tell you our economy cannot function like this. And at a point, and even any stockbroker you talk to that you know personally, that'll talk to you honestly, will tell you that there's a good possibility that, the stock market will collapse again. And the stock market now, Rocky, is run by a computer. They closed down the NYSE,
yes.
A couple of weeks ago now, or maybe a week ago. So we've got no personal involvement anymore. We don't have guys standing there that say, okay, we need to put a little money over on this so this doesn't take a fall and so we can protect these other companies. And we can't, even though we have human interaction by people feeding the keys and putting things in to the computers, they can't move fast enough to stop the computers from taking a dive. And as long as we print money to up our economy, we're doing a very dangerous thing. Remember years ago, when I was a kid, your dollar was backed by gold and silver.
Right.
Today it's not. It's backed by nothing. It's like money in a casino.
Well,
it's
funny.
The same thing. They print their own money. They have their own coins. You can't use them at other casinos. And if you take them back to California from Las Vegas, they're worthless.
And, I was reading some information on Lincoln, and Lincoln was going to back the dollar with silver, and 2 weeks later he was assassinated. The same thing happened with Kennedy, where he was going to dismantle the Federal Reserve and back the U.S. dollar with gold and silver, and he was assassinated.
Yeah, and he was assassinated. This is a very, once you switch things, it's hard to go back. And we don't have the amounts of gold and silver we once had. We used to have a lot of gold and silver. It was held at the Federal Reserve in New York. That was the biggest holder of actual gold in the United States. The second biggest was Fort Knox.
Right.
And Fort Knox was a big guy, though. Everybody knew about Fort Knox, but they didn't know about the Federal Reserve in New York City and Manhattan. And that used to back up. That was our backing for our dollar, but we don't have that anymore, and that's slowly dissolved. We let it dissolve slowly. So a lot of our bills still had that thing on them that said it was a silver certificate. Or this bill is worth an equal amount in silver, an equal amount in gold. And if you went to Las Vegas or you went to Reno, Nevada to gamble, they had actual gold coins and they had silver dollars. Everybody had silver dollars. We've stopped making silver dollars. We don't make silver anything anymore. Dimes were silver. Nickels were made out of nickel. Pennies were all made out of copper. Now, pennies are partly plastic, and I don't know what the alloy is underneath it, but it looks like copper. But you can burn the plastic off of the penny.
And what really bothers me is that even if we did go through a collapse, and there are big investment companies coming forward, like Fidelity, the vice president of Fidelity came forward and started urging people to start saving physical cash. The thing that bothers me the most is that it's not going to be the big corporations. It's not going to be the big banks that are going to take the punch in the gut. It's going to be the American people. It's going to be people losing their 401ks. It's going to be people losing their life investment. And we will have nothing while the big corporations and the big banks will be the ones to come and play hero like they're saving us and giving us more loans and putting us in more debt. And that's the part that bothers me. It's just the people that built this country are the ones that are always suffering.
Yeah, there's the saddest part of the whole thing. This is really true. We can't save anymore. The middle class, what we call the middle class, isn't really a middle class anymore. We can't save money. It's almost impossible to save money. We do work through a 401k because it works through our work. They're great. But the problem is, if there's a financial collapse, those 401ks become nothing. And we saw that happen, way back years and years ago when the real estate market collapsed. We saw that happen in 2007, 2008. The same thing happened. And that will happen again. The smartest thing people can do, and I've told friends of mine that have money or relatives that have money to do the same thing. They need to take and invest in gold or invest in silver, or either put cash in their house. Now, I'm not even sure that the dollar will be worth anything if there is a big financial collapse. But at least gold and silver will still be worth money. And even though gold is at a very low point right now, that's because the dollar has been falsely elevated to having a better value than what it does. Once a dollar, if you watch, it's very simple. I'm sure most people know this, but as the dollar drops in value, gold rises in value and vice versa. So, and silver does. Silver now is at $14 an ounce. So, if people can get a hold of a little bit of money, they can run out and buy silver and just hold on to the silver. And because believe me, if there is a financial collapse, that silver will be worth money.
Sure will. Well, Father John, we are out of time, but I just want to say personally, me and you have talked a lot off air, and I'm so grateful for you coming forward. And again, folks, I want you to understand something. We just we scuffled the surface a little bit here when we were talking about, Benghazi, and when we were talking about Vince Foster. We're just kind of scuffling the notes because I want people to become more aware of what's happening within our own system, within our own country, and we need to be a little more diligent on how we react. Do a little research, and before you sign that little piece of paper on a vote, make sure you know exactly who you're voting for. And just so you know, Father John's resources, they're not people like Alex Jones. Those are not his resources. He comes from the heart of what happened here years ago in our country. He was with the NSA for many years, from 75 to 1994. He has a lot of friends within the system, so the information he knows is very valid. It's not just a theory he's come up with because he watched a lot of YouTube videos. It's because people he knows. So, Father, thank you so much, brother, for taking your time out and coming on the show and sharing with us some of this information. I'm extremely grateful.
Thank you, Rocky. And anytime I can come back on and help in any way, please let me know. And God bless you. Thank you, Rocky.
Thank you.
I like everything you do. You're a really good guy. You're one of the good guys.
I'm glad to hear that. I really am. So folks, stand around. We're going to take a quick commercial break, and when we come back, we're just going to touch on a couple quick notes, and then we will wrap up the show. So stick around. You're listening to EBN Special Report with me, Rocky Stucci. Stand by.
All hail the Messiah, Obama, Obama, the path to the new socialist motherland. Our Savior, Obama, Obama, the leader more famous than Lindsay Lohan. Roll down and praise the one. Give him your money and your guns. Give us a country that makes your wife proud. Lord, bury the bitter ones, white and clinging to faith and to guns. Oh, for the change of the hope of the church.
All hail the Messiah. All hail Obama, the Messiah. Folks, that's going to do it for us tonight. I'm a little over on time. Again, I'd like to thank Father Claypool, amazing guest. I'm going to have him on again. We're going to be talking about some other things that are happening within the Middle East, the truth of what's really going on. Folks, couldn't tell you enough how much I appreciate you tuning in. If you want to listen to past shows, just go to www.ebntalkradio.com, and I have a podcast page there. You can just go there, listen to the podcast. If you have any questions, you can send me an email at ebntalkradio@gmail.com. So once again, folks, this is Rocky Stucci. You're listening to EBN Special Report. Thank you all so much. We will talk to you soon. Good night, folks.
One, two, 3, 4, 5. In just about a year, I could ditch my wife. I got a funky crib up in Chappaqua. She says I can stay there, but I really don't wanna. It's just like my senior prom. I really don't know how it all went wrong. I've been persecuted, prosecuted, sued, and subpoenaed. But don't blame me, blame it all on my little bit of Monica in my life. A little bit of Paula twice as nice. A little bit of Jennifer's all I see. A little bit of Kathleen, Willie, please. January 20th, 2001. I got to work like half a day, and then I'm going to find me bimbo number 5. I jump up and down and move it all around. I'll be nailing everything that ain't nailed down. Slick Willie's on the loose. And if you think I'm joking, check this out, man. I got a sponsorship from Trojan. How cool is that? A little bit of Monica in my life. A little bit of Paula, twice as nice. A little bit of Jennifer's all I see. A little bit of Kathleen. Willie, please. Woo! Oh, man, I can't wait. Bimbo number 5. I know you're out there, sweetie. Hang on, you ain't got long to wait. I'll be your knight in shining armor, riding to your physiological rescue. Who's your president? Come on, say it, say it.